Hello again. Today we're starting with another slide in. I got gifted this big cool set of art supplies for a late Christmas gift. Well, they weren't late. I was late to go grab it. And there's a couple things that I've never ever tried in here before. I've honestly never heard of pastel pencils before. I don't know if that makes me sound like a noob or anything like that, but like I don't know what this is. I saw somebody doing like swatches on it. It's like a big, here, I'll take it out. It's like a big pad of paper almost. So if anybody knows what this is called, the actual name of it, I would love to know. It's also like sharpeners and stuff like that, but today we're gonna be using this for watercolor pencils. I don't think I've ever made an actual piece of art with watercolor pencils before. I think maybe I've done a couple swatches like in high school in art class, but other than that, I've never played with them before, so it's gonna be real fun. We have a bunch to try out. I'm gonna swatch them all and then see how they blend and then try to maybe make something out of them too. I mean, that's the main point, is to try to be able to create something out of these. So that'll be fun. And these are just cool colored pencils. They look very bright, so I'm excited to play with all these. But yeah, let me get set up real quick. Okay, so I kind of got my pencils in the corner. I'm only using the bottom half here. These ones are the watercolor pencils, so just ignore these guys. And now I gotta go fill this up with water and learn how to use it because I'm not very versed with these. I've used the ones where you like put paint in it beforehand, but I might trim this little top hair too. There's one little stray there. But let me go do that, and then we'll get started with swatches. Also, for those curious, I'm using a Canson XL mixed media. Ooh, 98 pounds, 160 gram paper, and there's 60 sheets in here. This is the second mixed media book that I've ever got, and I love the feeling of the paper. It is nice and thick. I haven't done much work in it so far though, but I was doing some some basic tests in it at least, and it takes a nice thick coat pretty well with minor warpage, even though I honestly love the look of warped sketchbooks. You know, I put a couple layers on right here, especially. Go through it all, you can't even see it, so that was what I was going for. This is all acrylic paint, but I water it down with both just regular old water and also airbrush flow medium. So this is good with water so far, so I like it, even though I've literally only used 2 pages. So this will be the third. We're testing out this book, kind of, as well. Scooch this over slightly, so I have an easier time grabbing these pencils out. Let me try to do this so there's light. They go on pretty decent. I mean, one pretty thick. Then I'll do some thin. They do also draw on this case when I pull them out. See, that's okay though. It'll make the case look cool after a while. Kind of like double layering the first one and then just doing a little single Also, for those curious, I don't know if there's an actual brand for any of these. I'm sure you could find something similar at Amazon, or I've seen watercolor pencil sets as well at Staples. I've definitely been tempted to buy them there in the past. I'm really curious to see how they lighten up. And I also don't believe that it matters per se, like the time that I leave them on the paper, because they're like water soluble and they're like pre-dried, I guess you could say. I know you can also like pre-wet them before you even draw to make them like extremely pigmented. Maybe I'll try that when I'm doing the actual like piece with them, but for now, this is good enough. I don't even swatch stuff for the most part, but like for the sake of the video, it would be cool. And also I want a little bit of like a reference sheet for if I do end up liking these, then I'll use them way more often. I could see these being useful as like a finishing touch to a watercolor painting, because if you were to mess up or something, or if you need some like harsher details, you can use the water and just add the little details with the actual tip of this instead of having to use like a detail brush or something. Like one of these. I am excited to try these. So far, I'm not noticing a difference in consistency of like the different colors and how they go on. They all kind of go on basically like a pencil crayon. I really like this purple. And that green that I just used as well. These are my favorites. And honestly, like this brown is very red toned. I don't know, I really like the color choices of these so far, honestly. I really like that I'm swatching them too, because like I said before, I rarely swatch like new stuff that I get. I just kind of jump right into making something with them. But really, this kind of inspires me even more and kind of gives me ideas of like color palettes before I even start creating the piece. So I'm not just kind of like going willy-nilly. Those two are definitely getting used together at some point, that's for sure. And then we have black, and then one more. This much. Good to know that they kind of very slightly smudge if you put them on thick like that. It kind of makes sense though. It's like rubbing dry pigment on, you know, that kind of happens with colored pencils as well. And last but not least, dark blue. I feel like this, oh yeah. I assumed it would be really good for like line art if you don't want super dark line art. And it makes certain color palettes more cohesive if you just kind of use like a darker version of a certain color, not exactly a black. It doesn't make the illustration seem so harsh, if that makes sense. I personally put black outlines on most of my work. But there's something to be said about the soft after line work stuff. So I haven't cut this. I'm just gonna use it as is. And we'll see if I need to cut it after. First of all, I've never used one of these, so maybe I should do a test spot actually. Let's use this purple. I assume you just... No, maybe not. Is it a little bit of a squeezy squeeze? Am I gonna have to look up a video? Yeah, I might have to. I don't want to like squash the tip. I don't think it's like a Posca pen where you just push it. What if I squeeze it? Oh my! Here comes a little bubble. I'm scared. This is... So I got this on, right? Yeah, I'm gonna look it up. I don't want to mess this up. I do have a cup of water here too, but I want to use the cool pen. Oh, there's a little bit of purple on it. Okay, one sec. Let me look it up. Okay, I filled the pen. Fill the body with water. Step 1. Screw it back firmly. It's pretty firm. Oh. Push the body to release water. I'm pushing where it looks like I should be pushing. Oh! Oh! Okay, okay. I don't need you anymore. Awesome. Okay, we figured it out. All right. Got some water in our little brush tip. Now let's see how this stuff mixes. Oh yeah, this one strand is gonna be an issue. Oh, did I just pull it out? All right, not an issue anymore. How do you switch colors though? You definitely still see where it was before, but gotta wash it in my cup. I mean, when you're doing one whole piece, as long as you kind of go from like light to dark, it wouldn't be too much of an issue, but for now, let's not start on the darkest. First color. Let's see how she be. Okay. I like that. How about the half tone? Get a little more body in there. Well, let's see how it does when I start doing multiple colors. Because I don't want it to get too muddy. And I feel like that's already kind of happening with the tip here. Kind of getting muddy. There's also a chance that you're supposed to like soak it in water between every thing, and I just don't know that, so. This is, we're seeing how beginner friendly this is, okay? Oh, see, that one doesn't fade nearly as well. Because I put it on heavier. Is it because I don't have enough water? Let's see. More water. Okay, see, that's good to know. The pink you want to put on lighter if you want it to fade out better. They're all pretty similar, to be completely honest. It's good to know the differences, though. Alright, let me just finish up all these swatches in super fast mode, because at this point I feel like they're mainly turning out all the same. Obviously the lighter colors are gonna blend together a little more because they have less pigment to soak into the paper. So, I mean, that is a safe assumption to have been made beforehand. But I'll give you a little time lapse so you don't have to sit here and watch me slowly blend these on. Okay, now I remember why I don't do swatch pages. I got to about like here. And started getting so messy with it because I was just like, okay, you know, I can get this over with so I can start doodling because I have a bunch of fucking ideas. I'm gonna take the second half of this page here and kind of doodle out some ideas with these little pencils and maybe mess around with the water with them a little bit more before I go to actually try to make a piece. One thing to note with these, they're still a little wet, as you can tell by me messing that swatch up. But once again, the sketchbook is supreme. Well, it didn't rack through. This is coming from somebody that's used to using like dollar store art products, like those thin sketchbooks that look like transfer paper, but they're not transfer paper. You know, one-ply sketchbook. I don't need a one-ply sketchbook. I would do final watercolor pieces on like printer paper. One layer in, you know, and you're ripping like little shreds off the top. And I honestly thought for the longest time it was the watercolor that I was using, because I used those little pans, those like dry pans that you add water to. But honestly, I think it was just the paper that I was using. Now that I've become a little bit of a paper snob, or at the very least, I know what paper I like and I know what paper I dislike. Mainly because I started doing block printing and stuff like that. So that is what truly turned me into a paper snob, is block printing, and also honestly just printing stuff in general. You gotta know what kind of quality you're gonna get, especially when it comes to ordering online. I went to Staples and I was the weirdo doing this. But I'm gonna do some doodles, is basically what I was trying to say here.
Snap me back into it. I'm reading a book by Jerry Saltz right now. Jerry Saltz is like an art critic, so he's a really good contemporary art.
I'm getting my references today from this book, The Mythical Creatures Bible. But I am gonna end up probably just drawing a lady face. Go back to the basics. But there's some really interesting pictures in here. Okay, now I'm gonna take my little sketchy sketch and put some water on it and hope that it doesn't get too muddy. I think I maybe put a little too much. I kind of forgot that I was gonna blend it with the water. So we're gonna try this pen again. But I honestly think it'll work better with one of my paint brushes and just dipping it in water. Where should I start? I guess here in the lightest bits. So far, I'm actually really liking this. Just kind of helps like smooth it all out instead of having to put like 100 layers of just regular like pencil crayon. You just kind of go over the. There, don't get too crazy with it now. I gotta be light. don't want to ruin the like natural variation. I'm a overblender. I always end up overblending stuff, so I'm trying to teach myself to not do that. Because light naturally adds like all these little variations. Not everything needs to be like a perfect ombre blend. I feel like I do that so often. Okay, that blended really cool with the skin tones and stuff. Now let's try something more organic. Like a little tree or something. Make sure it's dry first. That's my completed pieces. I honestly had a lot of fun messing with a new medium. I have been working a lot with digital stuff lately and kind of ignoring traditional work. And it's kind of burnt me out a little bit, so it feels nice to take a break from the screens and go back to good old paper for a little bit. But yeah, thank you for watching me try a new medium. I hope you liked it. Another good thing about these is that they're water soluble, so they come right out of the sharpener. So that's awesome. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you next time. Thank you so much for watching. Have a shop, and I'm also going to be at Tomo Arts Festival in June as well. So if you're in the Edmonton area around June, I'll be there. Come and check it out. It's going to be a lot of cool artists. I believe it's an all-day event, so yeah, I'm gonna have a table. Come check it out. Bye. Also, this is the reference that I found, by the way. So, what do you think?